Have you heard of the law of magnetism? Not the one that pulls metal, but the one that explains why your thoughts and emotions, powerful ones, attract similar energies or circumstances into one's life. This audiobook is not about chasing what you want, but breaking down the law of magnetism and how to use it to attract love, peace, and abundance without force. Suppose you are tired of trying to manifest from your mind and you are ready to attract from your core. This audiobook is for you. The Law of Magnetism. Introduction. Welcome to the Abundance Book. The energy you radiate is the life you create. There's a reason you keep circling back to the same lessons. Why do specific patterns repeat? Why do some people walk into a room and everything leans toward them, while others feel invisible even when they try their hardest? It's not luck. It's not fate. It's magnetism. The law of magnetism is not just a spiritual concept. It's an energetic truth. At every moment, you're broadcasting a frequency into the world. Not with your mouth, but with your presence. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, your identity. They all combine to form an electromagnetic field around you. And that field is what calls things in. You've likely heard of the law of attraction. But attraction without awareness of vibration is incomplete. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is determined not by the goals you set, but by the energy you live in. Magnetism is deeper than manifestation rituals. It is the current beneath your actions, the tone behind your words, the truth inside your body. It determines who you meet, how they respond to you, and what kind of opportunities find you. And it's always on, whether you're conscious of it or not. This audiobook is a journey into that hidden force. We will explore how your vibration shapes your world, how your unconscious energy drives what you receive, how your relationships mirror your inner frequency, and how true spiritual growth begins when you take responsibility for your energetic signature. This is not about faking positivity. It's about uncovering where your energy is leaking, where it's misaligned, and how to bring it back into integrity with who you're truly meant to be. Because the moment you stop trying to force things and start becoming the frequency of what you desire, everything begins to shift. You don't have to chase love. You don't have to beg for success. You don't need to force healing. You simply need to become magnetic to it. And that's what this audiobook will help you do, by turning your awareness inward, aligning your vibration with your vision, and transforming your very presence into a silent, steady signal that draws in exactly what's meant for you. Welcome to the Law of Magnetism. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Vibrations don't lie. The real language of attraction. Everything in the universe is vibration. Every thought, every emotion, every word you speak, whether whispered in confidence or shouted in fear, carries a frequency, and that frequency becomes your signal. The universe, ever responsive, doesn't listen to your wishes or intentions alone. It listens to your energy. This is the law of magnetism in its rawest form. You don't attract with your voice. You attract with your vibration. It's why someone can speak words of positivity, yet keep drawing in conflict and hardship. It's why a person who says, "I want love," can find themselves stuck in cycles of rejection or abandonment. Because underneath those words, there's a frequency, often unconscious, saying, "I don't believe I'm worthy. I'm afraid I'll be left again. I need someone to complete me. And that frequency? It's louder than the words. This is why affirmations sometimes don't work. You can repeat, "I am abundant," 100 times a day. But if the energy you carry is fear, scarcity, or shame, that's the true magnet. That's what the universe responds to. Vibration is not about noise. It's about presence, the tone of your being, the silent atmosphere you carry with you into every room. And the truth is, people feel it. Animals sense it. Environments shift because of it. Even technology, some researchers now suggest, is affected by it. Your vibration is your real introduction before you ever say a word. So ask yourself, what energy are you broadcasting when no one is watching? What are you carrying into your mornings, your conversations, your decisions? This chapter is about becoming aware of your default frequency. Not the mask you wear, but the current underneath, the hum of your unconscious energy. Are you operating from love or fear, expansion or contraction, trust or control? Your dominant vibration is not set in stone. It's conditioned by your childhood, by your experiences, by the stories you tell yourself and the beliefs you haven't questioned. But it can be changed. And once you begin tuning your energy consciously, everything around you begins to shift. Your subconscious is like a For You page. Whatever you engage with emotionally, especially unconsciously, gets amplified. If you keep interacting with drama, fear, or lack internally, life keeps feeding you more of the same. But the moment you start emotionally engaging with joy, clarity, and worthiness, your entire feed shifts. Your life isn't random. It's resonant. Every situation that finds you, every person who stays or leaves is magnetized by the frequency you hold most consistently. Not the one you hit occasionally when you're feeling inspired, but the one you return to when no one's watching, when it's just you and your thoughts. This is not a reason to blame yourself. It's an invitation to become powerful again. Because when you take responsibility for your vibration, you reclaim your magnetism. You don't have to beg the universe to give you what you want. You have to become it. Not overnight, but daily. In presence, in energy, in awareness. So as we begin this journey, remember, you are not here to manipulate outcomes. You're here to align your energy. Because when the vibration is right, the attraction is effortless. Chapter 2. The Unconscious Magnet. How you attract without knowing it. Most of what you attract in life doesn't come from your conscious thoughts. It comes from the unseen world within you, your subconscious patterns, emotional memory, and energetic defaults. This is where the law of magnetism works most powerfully and most silently. You might say, "I want love." But if your nervous system is wired to expect abandonment, your energy will repel true intimacy before it ever has a chance to land. You might affirm, "I am wealthy," but if deep down you feel unsafe around money or guilty for having more than others, your field will quietly shut down opportunities that contradict those inner beliefs. You see, your conscious mind can make a vision board, but your subconscious makes the decisions that shape your vibration. And your vibration is what the universe listens to. So much of your life is magnetized not by what you say you want, but by what your energy has been trained to accept. The law of magnetism doesn't respond to your intentions alone. It responds to the signal you broadcast most consistently, especially when you're not trying. And that signal is largely unconscious. Think of your energy like a personalized algorithm. Your dominant emotions, guilt, fear, shame, unworthiness, are like the data your subconscious keeps clicking on. And just like a streaming app, life curates more of the same. You don't attract these experiences as punishment. You attract them because your energy history says, this is what we're used to. That emotional pattern becomes your recommended reality. This is why healing work is so powerful. Not because it changes your thoughts, but because it changes your energetic baseline. It softens the contraction. It rewires the expectation. It clears space for new frequencies to be anchored. You become magnetic to peace, not by repeating, "I am calm," but by dissolving the inner chaos that has been buzzing underneath your awareness for years. You become magnetic to love, not by wishing harder, but by releasing the fear of being hurt again. You become magnetic to abundance, not by obsessing over income, but by feeling safe in your body with or without proof. Your unconscious beliefs are not moral failings. They are energetic blueprints, written when you were too young to choose. Most of them were downloaded from caregivers, culture, trauma, or repetition. They became familiar. And what's familiar becomes magnetic, whether it serves you or not. This is why trauma work, shadow work, and inner child healing all tie into manifestation and spiritual magnetism. Because the moment you shine awareness on what's unconscious, you begin to rewrite the field. The truth is, you are already magnetic. You are already attracting. But until you become conscious of your unconscious, you'll think life is random, when in reality, it's responsive. The universe doesn't speak in language. It speaks in energy, and energy doesn't lie. That's why someone can walk into a room without saying a word and shift the atmosphere. That's why you feel drained around certain people and instantly alive around others. It's not what they say. It's what they radiate, their field, their frequency. And guess what? So do you. You're not just walking through life. You're broadcasting. Not occasionally, but always. So if you've been wondering why things aren't changing despite your effort, ask yourself, what is my unconscious magnet still tuned to? What part of you still believes love means betrayal? What part of you thinks abundance is dangerous? What part of you feels safer being unseen? These parts don't need to be condemned. They need to be witnessed, loved, and gently reprogrammed. Because the most powerful shifts don't come from controlling your thoughts. They come from transforming your vibration. And when your unconscious becomes conscious, the magnet changes. So do your relationships. So does your reality. So does your future. Chapter 3. Emotion is your magnetic frequency. If your energy is the signal, then emotion is the charge. Emotion gives your vibration strength. It's the voltage behind your frequency, the amplifier of your field, the invisible current that tells the universe, this is real for me. Every emotion you feel is not just a private experience. It's also an energetic broadcast. Your emotions are electrochemical. They shape your nervous system, shift your brain chemistry, and influence the electromagnetic field your body emits. And this isn't just spiritual language, it's measurable science. The HeartMath Institute has conducted groundbreaking studies showing that emotions like gratitude, love, and appreciation create what's called heart-brain coherence. When you feel elevated emotions, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and harmonious. Your brain waves begin to sync. Your body enters a state of balance and alignment. And here's where it gets magnetic. Your heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the human body, even stronger than the brain's. And that field can be detected from several feet away, influencing people and even the environments around you. This means your emotional state doesn't just affect you, it alters your energetic field. In contrast, when you live in emotions like fear, frustration, guilt, or anxiety, the coherence disappears. Your nervous system becomes chaotic. Your energy field becomes unstable and fragmented. And that dissonance is what you broadcast, consciously or not. So while your thoughts may be saying, "I want peace," if your emotional state is still in turmoil, that's the frequency the universe responds to. This is why affirmations sometimes fall flat. Because magnetism isn't about what you say. It's about what you feel. Your emotional state is your energetic truth. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who blends neuroscience and quantum biology, teaches that sustained emotional states change your chemistry. If you live in fear for long enough, your body memorizes that fear. It becomes your baseline. You start attracting situations that reflect it, not because you want them, but because your body is tuned to expect them. But the reverse is also true. When you train yourself to feel elevated emotions before the outcome, you begin to change your field. You literally alter the signal you emit. You don't just think differently, you become different. And here's the key. Your emotional baseline, what you feel most often, determines your magnetic set point. Are you practicing gratitude? Are you cultivating joy, even in small doses? Are you choosing calm over chaos, trust over worry, worthiness over shame? Because these emotions are not just fleeting moods. They are energetic signatures. They tell the field what to return to you. Just like algorithms on YouTube or Spotify curate more of what you engage with, your subconscious curates your reality based on your dominant emotional tone. Emotion is the energetic language of your subconscious, and your subconscious is the architect of your magnetism. You may think you're in control of what you attract, but it's your emotional body doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes. And the universe is listening to that deeper signal, not your surface-level thoughts. This is why emotional mastery is spiritual power. Not through suppression, but through awareness and recalibration. When you feel emotions like jealousy or resentment, don't shame them. Study them. They're showing you where your energy is still entangled with fear or lack. And when you feel emotions like peace, trust, and contentment, amplify them. Let your body learn that these states are safe, familiar, and sustainable. Because the more your system learns how to stay in these higher vibrations, the more magnetic you become. So ask yourself today, what emotional climate am I living in? What frequency am I repeating, even silently? Because your life doesn't respond to your goals. It responds to your emotional signature. Shift your emotional energy, and you shift the field. Elevate your internal state, and your external world rises to meet it. Radiate the emotion of your future, and watch how effortlessly it arrives. Chapter 4. Conscious Attraction, Becoming the Vibration You Seek. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you match. Desire alone is not magnetic. Embodiment is. You can visualize, journal, and dream all day long. But if your inner frequency isn't aligned with what you desire, the signal remains scrambled. This is where conscious attraction begins, not with wishful thinking, but with vibrational truth. Modern neuroscience confirms what ancient mystics always knew. You become what you repeatedly feel, not what you think, not what you write, what you emotionally rehearse day after day. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that the brain doesn't distinguish between an event that's actually happening and one that's vividly imagined and emotionally charged. When you feel the emotion of your future, now, your brain and body begin to biologically and chemically live in that future. Your brain rewires, your nervous system stabilizes, your energy field changes. That's conscious attraction, not waiting to feel it once it shows up, but training your system to live in the emotion before the evidence. Most people are stuck in a loop. They want the new outcome, but they keep tuning into the old frequency. They say, "I want to be abundant," but they still feel unsafe. They affirm, "I am loved," but they still carry the energy of abandonment. It's like trying to stream a high-definition life on a poor signal. The content is there, but the connection is unstable. To truly attract what you seek, you must become emotionally and energetically fluent in the vibration of that future. It must feel normal to your nervous system. It must feel safe, familiar, true. This isn't delusion, it's energetic congruence. Imagine you're a Wi-Fi router. If your frequency is broadcasting fear, doubt, or neediness, everything within range of that signal, people, opportunities, conversations, will match that energy. But if you start broadcasting coherence, trust, and emotional certainty, your field sharpens. It becomes clearer, cleaner, more attractive without effort. This is why emotional rehearsal is more effective than mere repetition. It's not enough to say, "I am successful." You have to feel what success would feel like in your body. Walk with it. Breathe with it. Practice the posture, the tone, the pace of someone who has already arrived. This is what Neville Goddard called assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not thinking about it, not waiting for it, but stepping into the identity of the one who already lives it and letting the world catch up. When you do this, your subconscious accepts the new pattern. Your heart and brain enter coherence. Your body becomes a vessel for what you've already claimed energetically. And the result? You no longer attract from lack. You attract from overflow. You become a living broadcast of alignment, and life simply reflects it back. So today, instead of asking, "When will it come?" ask, "Who am I being while I wait? What am I rehearsing in my emotions every day?" Because the universe is not responding to your wish list, it's responding to your energetic consistency. When your inner state matches your desired outcome, attraction becomes a natural side effect, not a strategy. You are no longer calling it in. You are it. And that's the most magnetic thing of all. Chapter 5. The Magnetic Mirror. How relationships reflect your vibration. To understand your vibration, examine your relationships. Not just the people you love, but the ones that frustrate you, trigger you, ignore you, or seem to repeat a cycle you thought you'd outgrown. Relationships are magnetic mirrors. They don't just reflect who you are, they reflect where you are energetically. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Every person you attract is resonating with something in your field of expertise. It might be the part of you that feels unseen. It might be your unhealed craving to prove yourself. It might even be the part of you still afraid to be fully known. This is where magnetism gets personal. Most people think relationships are about compatibility. But energetically, they're about familiarity. You're most drawn to what feels emotionally familiar, even if it's unhealthy. If you grew up in a chaotic environment, silence may feel foreign. If you experienced conditional love, peace can feel boring. And if you were taught to earn worth through performance, unconditional acceptance can feel overwhelming. This isn't your fault. It's your body remembering. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for what feels like home, not in theory, but in frequency. This is why self-awareness is crucial. Because until you become conscious of what your energy is repeating, you'll keep attracting it and calling it destiny. The law of magnetism is precise. It brings you people and situations that match your inner frequency, especially the unresolved parts of yourself. If you carry shame, you may attract partners who criticize. If you carry scarcity, you may attract friends who compete or withhold from you. If you carry unworthiness, you may attract people who love you just enough to keep you chasing after them. But none of this is to punish you. It's to reveal you. Relationships show you what you still believe about yourself. They reflect your self-concept, not your surface confidence, but your deeper emotional truth. This is why healing isn't just internal, it's relational. You can meditate every day, but if your relationships are built on people-pleasing, fear of rejection, or emotional unavailability, your vibration will always be pulled out of alignment. So here's the shift. Instead of asking, "Why do I keep attracting this?" ask, "What part of me still believes this is normal? What version of me is this relationship keeping alive?" That question changes everything. You begin to see relationships as data, not drama. You stop taking things personally and start taking them energetically. You stop fighting what others reflect and start shifting what you emit. Because when you change your internal frequency, the people you attract change. Some will grow with you, some will fall away, and some new ones will arrive effortlessly, without chaos, without confusion, without the emotional roller coaster you thought was part of love. You become magnetic to calm, to clarity, to conscious connection. And here's where jealousy fits in. Jealousy often reveals where we've outsourced our worth. It says, "They have something I'm afraid I can't access." But that emotion is not a flaw. It's a flashlight. It shows you where your energy is still entangled with scarcity or comparison. When you feel it, don't react. Reflect. Then recalibrate. You don't need to compete when you trust your frequency. You don't need to compare when you trust your path. You don't need to chase when you recognize your magnetism. Ultimately, your relationships will always mirror your self-relationship. When you honor your needs, you attract people who also honor theirs. When you stop betraying yourself, you stop attracting betrayal. When you vibrate from worthiness, you stop settling for fragments. The law of magnetism ensures that. It's not personal, it's energetic. And once you fully understand that, you stop trying to control people. You start managing your field. And the people who truly align with your energy, they arrive without resistance, not to complete you, but to meet you. Chapter 6: Spiritual Magnetism, the Energy of Awakening. There comes a point in your journey where you no longer ask, "How do I attract more?" Instead, you ask, "What am I becoming?" This is the shift from energetic strategy to spiritual maturity, from manifesting outcomes to aligning with truth. Spiritual magnetism is less about pulling things in and more about letting go of everything that distorts who you are. It's the energy of someone who no longer uses force or performance to shape their life. Someone who doesn't need proof before they trust or permission before they evolve. Someone who realizes, "I'm not attracted to validation. I'm aligning for expansion." At this level, your vibration becomes cleaner, not necessarily higher in volume, but deeper in integrity. You start prioritizing internal coherence over external noise. You make peace more important than popularity. Stillness becomes a signal, not a weakness. This is when your magnetism becomes spiritual, because you're no longer attracting from ego. You're attracting from awareness, from embodiment, from alignment. Spiritual magnetism is the kind of presence that doesn't demand attention, but naturally holds it. You walk into a room and shift the energy, not because of what you say, but because of what you no longer need to prove. Your frequency is quiet but powerful, clear but grounded, intentional, not impulsive. This doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. In fact, when you raise your vibration, parts of your old life might start falling away. People who used to feel familiar may feel heavy. Places that used to excite you may start to drain you. It's not a loss. It's a recalibration. You're not being punished. You're being purified. Because when your energy shifts, your field changes. And your field will no longer hold what doesn't match your direction. You may feel lonely during this process, but that space is sacred. It's not emptiness, it's clearing. It's your system making room for what's truly aligned. This is what spiritual magnetism does. It pulls people, experiences, and growth into your life, not through force or manipulation, but through authenticity. Through being deeply rooted in who you are, what you value, and what you're no longer willing to shrink for. You start attracting people who respect your boundaries because you finally do. You start calling in opportunities that don't require you to burn out because your nervous system no longer normalizes stress. You find yourself saying no with ease and yes with clarity because your energy has become discerning. You are no longer trying to be magnetic. You simply are. You don't hustle to be seen. You hold your truth and let the right people recognize it. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't perform. You embody. You align. You allow. That's spiritual magnetism. It doesn't guarantee that everything will go your way, but it does guarantee that what stays, what grows, and what arrives will match the version of you who's no longer pretending. And when your life becomes a mirror of your truth, not your trauma, not your fear, not your people-pleasing, you don't just feel powerful. You feel peaceful because you're no longer bending your energy to fit your past. You're expanding your frequency to meet your future. And in that space, calm, clear, and coherent, you become a living invitation for everything meant for you. Chapter 7: Energetic Boundaries and the Power of No. Your energy is not unlimited. It's a currency. And every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're spending that currency on things that don't return your investment. Magnetism isn't just about what you draw in. It's also about what you no longer absorb. The more you honor your limits, the more powerful your field becomes. This is where boundaries come in, not as barriers, but as filters. Not to isolate you, but to refine what gets access to your energy. So many people feel stuck not because they aren't manifesting, but because their magnetism is leaking. They're overwhelmed, overcommitted, pulled in 100 directions by guilt, obligation, or fear of rejection. They say yes when their soul says no. They stay quiet when their truth wants to speak. They allow access to people who keep showing up with chaos and calling it love. And over time, this lack of energetic clarity sends a signal to the universe. I don't fully value my own space. I'm available to be drained. I'll accept whatever shows up if it means I don't have to be alone. But here's the truth. Every boundary you set strengthens your field. Every time you protect your peace, you sharpen your signal. Every time you choose alignment over approval, you increase your magnetism. Saying no is not negative. It's directional. It's your soul pointing toward what's true for you. When you're unclear about your boundaries, your energy becomes noisy. You attract people who take more than they give. You feel resentful but responsible. You confuse being needed with being loved. But when you start saying no with calm, with clarity, with kindness, you change the quality of what enters your life. Suddenly, you attract people who don't take your time for granted. You find relationships that don't collapse when you're honest. You call in situations that support your growth instead of demanding your silence. You begin to trust that your presence has value even when it's not performing. This is what healthy boundaries do. They protect the version of you you've worked so hard to become. Because the truth is, you can't be magnetic and self-abandoning at the same time. You can't attract peace while tolerating chaos. You can't embody wholeness while giving out pieces of yourself to everyone who asks. So let this be your reminder. Your time is sacred. Your energy is not owed. Your truth is not up for negotiation. And every time you honor that, not with defense, but with clarity, you teach the world how to treat you. Not because you demand respect, but because you model self-respect. You don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't need to explain your healing. You don't need to stay small to keep the peace. You are allowed to choose rest, to choose distance, to choose silence. Because sometimes the most magnetic thing you can do is stop leaking your power into places that can't hold it. Say no, and trust that your yes will mean more when it's given from fullness, not depletion. Your energy doesn't need to be everywhere. It just needs to be aligned. Chapter 8. Environments are magnetic fields. You are not just creating your energy. You are constantly absorbing it. Every room, every screen, every conversation either strengthens your vibration or scatters it. Your environment is not neutral. It is magnetic. And just like your thoughts and emotions, it carries a frequency. Many people attempt to raise their vibration through mindset work alone, while ignoring the environments that continually pull them backward. You cannot heal in the same environment that trained you to ignore your needs. You cannot feel expansive while surrounded by people who feed on drama. You cannot feel grounded in spaces that never feel safe. This isn't about blame. It's about energetic hygiene. Your nervous system is always listening. It notices subtle signals, the tone in someone's voice, the clutter in a room, the emotional weight of a space. It adjusts your field accordingly. And over time, that exposure becomes your default frequency, not because you chose it, but because you stayed in it. That's why it's so important to get honest about what you're swimming in. Ask yourself, does this space calm or tighten my body? Do these conversations lift me or deplete me? Does this music, feed, or content align with the person I'm becoming, or the one I'm trying to outgrow? Your environment trains your subconscious. If you stay immersed in scarcity, you'll feel like there's never enough. If you surround yourself with cynicism, dreaming will feel naive. If you constantly give your energy to chaos, peace will feel unfamiliar. But here's the power you have. You can choose differently. You can build a magnetic environment that holds you, not just physically, but energetically. It starts small. Unfollow the voices that make you doubt yourself. Rearrange your space to reflect your clarity, not your clutter. Spend more time in nature, where energy resets naturally. Choose quiet over constant stimulation. Protect your mornings. Guard your evenings. Leave rooms that feel heavy without guilt. The point isn't perfection, it's resonance. You don't need to live in a luxury home to feel aligned. You need to live in a space where your nervous system isn't constantly bracing for impact. Even your digital environment matters. Your attention is magnetic currency. What you watch, click, and consume shapes your emotional baseline. And that baseline becomes your field. So clean the feed. Clear the room. Make space for what matches the version of you you're becoming, not the version the world taught you to settle for. Because here's what happens when your environment reflects your evolution. Your energy stabilizes. Your creativity increases. Your boundaries feel natural. your nervous system can finally exhale. And in that space of alignment, your magnetism sharpens. You become less reactive, more discerning, more connected to your own rhythm. You don't have to fight for peace anymore, because you've built a life that supports it. Your environment is not a backdrop. It's part of your frequency. And when you learn to shape it with intention, it stops pulling you backward and starts pulling everything aligned toward you. Chapter 9. When the magnet is misaligned, calibrating in the dark. There's a moment on every healing path when things feel strangely quiet. You've done the work. You've shifted your thinking. You've cleared the clutter, set the boundaries, aligned your intentions. And then, nothing. No sudden breakthrough. No clear reward. Just silence. Stillness. A pause that can feel like failure. But this moment, this space between who you were and who you're becoming, is not a mistake. It's a recalibration. You're not broken. You're realigning. When your internal frequency changes, your external reality doesn't always catch up immediately. There's a lag, a delay, a gap between the new signal you're broadcasting and the reflections that start to return. That gap can feel uncomfortable because your old world no longer fits and your new world hasn't fully arrived. You're no longer resonating with the past, but you're still learning how to hold the energy of the future. This space is not a void, it's a transition, a sacred in-between, where your magnetism is stabilizing. Your nervous system is adjusting to new patterns. Your field is becoming more coherent. And the universe, quietly, invisibly, is rearranging around your new signal. This is where trust is built. Not the kind of trust that feels good, but the kind of trust that stays steady when there's no evidence yet. The kind of trust that says, just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not working. We often talk about magnetism like it's instant, but true magnetism is rooted in consistency. It's not what you feel when you're inspired. It's what you hold when you're uncertain. And the recalibration phase is a test of that holding. Can you stay aligned without proof? Can you regulate your energy when the outcome hasn't arrived? Can you keep vibrating in faith rather than slipping back into familiar fear? Because this is where most people fall back into old patterns. They interpret the silence as a sign to hustle harder, to force, to chase. But chasing breaks the field. It sends a signal of lack, and you end up right back where you started. Frustrated, depleted, disconnected. So instead of reacting to the pause, recognize what it really is. A reset, a strengthening, an invitation to embody what you say you believe before you see the results. During this phase, magnetism is refined through subtle choices, saying no to things that no longer feel aligned, even if you're tempted to settle. Choosing presence over panic, returning to practices that regulate your nervous system and keep your energy open. Staying close to people who remind you who you are, not who you used to be. Your field is becoming clearer. You may not see it yet, but the shift has already begun. And when the energy finally crystallizes, when you fully let go of the version of you that had to beg, prove, or push, the reflection will arrive. Not because you forced it, but because you held it. The work isn't wasted. The stillness isn't empty. The delay isn't denial. It's alignment, unfolding quietly. So breathe. Hold your frequency. Trust the intelligence behind the silence. Because when the magnet is realigned, what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased. It arrives. Naturally, powerfully, on time. Chapter 10. Radiate and Receive. Living as a conscious magnet. Magnetism isn't something you turn on and off. It's something you become. It's not about a single moment of alignment. It's about how you live, how you move, how you carry yourself when no one is watching. Living as a conscious magnet doesn't mean everything flows perfectly. It means you're no longer outsourcing your power to what's happening around you. It means you've stopped asking, "What can I get?" and started asking, "What am I radiating?" At this level, attraction is no longer about effort. It's about embodiment. You are no longer performing to be chosen. You are no longer chasing for worth. You are no longer trying to prove you're ready. You simply are. When your energy is clean, your boundaries are clear, and your presence is rooted in who you've become, people and opportunities respond to that field. Not because you're forcing them to, but because resonance does the work for you. There's no need to be loud when your energy is steady. There's no need to seek attention when your attention is already anchored. There's no need to beg life to deliver when your vibration says, "I already trust the process." You begin to walk with a quiet knowing. If it's for me, it will feel aligned. If it isn't, I release it without resistance. If there's silence, I hold my frequency anyway. You stop needing every door to open because you trust that the right ones won't require force. This is what it means to live as a conscious magnet, to allow what is truly meant for you to recognize you by the energy you consistently hold, not the effort you constantly give. You begin to attract from overflow, not urgency. You begin to receive because you've become the version of yourself who knows how to hold what you once only hoped for. It's no longer about proving that you're ready. It's about becoming the person who no longer has to. You stop thinking in terms of outcomes. You start living in terms of alignment. And the life that matches that alignment, it shows up without friction. That doesn't mean you won't still feel tested, but you'll meet those moments with grace. You'll respond instead of react. You'll notice the lesson without losing your center. Because your magnetism is now internal, not external. You're no longer magnetic because of what you do. You're magnetic because of who you are when nothing is performing. You trust your timing. You protect your peace. You radiate your truth. And you let life meet you there. This is not a technique. It's a way of being. And the more you live it, the less you need to say. So breathe into this version of yourself. Let it settle. Let it integrate. Let it take root. You are no longer manifesting from lack. You are creating from presence. And that presence is what the world responds to. Not the words, not the affirmations, not the chasing, but the field, the frequency, the quiet, undeniable magnet of someone who is finally aligned. You don't need to reach. You only need to radiate. You were magnetic all along. You've spent this journey learning how energy works, not just around you, but within you. You now understand. Magnetism is not something you activate. It's something you return to. It was never about adding more effort, more tools, more techniques. It was about subtracting the noise, clearing the static, releasing the patterns that kept pulling your signal in the wrong direction. What you've built now is not just knowledge, it's awareness. You can feel when your energy is off. You can sense when something is aligned before it even shows up. You no longer rely on external confirmation to know that you're on the right path. You've learned to trust your field. You've learned to honor your nervous system. You've learned that your emotions are not barriers. they're information. And your boundaries aren't walls. They're tuning tools. You've seen how love, abundance, peace, and truth are not things to chase. They're frequencies to live from. And that's the shift that changes everything. You don't have to force what's meant for you. You don't have to beg the universe to deliver. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. You simply radiate the truth of who you've become and let life respond. This is how you live as a conscious magnet. You choose stillness over control, clarity over chaos, depth over distraction. You stop performing and start being. And as your presence deepens, the quality of what enters your life changes with it. You're not just calling things in anymore. You're holding space for what can only find you when you stop trying to be someone else. Let this be your reminder. You don't attract from effort. You attract from coherence. And every time you come back to yourself, every time you lead with alignment instead of fear, you strengthen your field. So move forward now, not with urgency, but with trust. Not with pressure, but with quiet confidence. Your energy is speaking. Your boundaries are humming. Your body knows when it feels safe. And your soul knows when it's home. You are magnetic. You are ready. You are already resonating with what's meant for you. Keep walking in alignment and let what's aligned walk toward you.